Welcome back, folks. I have Liz Jamieson-Dunne here, and we're going to talk about this new book. You want to hold it up for us?
Oh, sure.
It's called Find Hidden Courage, and there you go. There you go. And so tell us a little bit about why you wrote this book, because I think this was not only healing for you, but healing for all the people in it that you feature.
Well, Juliet, it's interesting because I didn't start out to write a book. I actually started off creating a website that talked to people's stories that I hope to gather about loss and grief and just really dark, what I call dark nights of the soul. Because I had gone through so much death and loss that I was perplexed about why all of this darkness was at my doorstep. I really didn't feel that I called it in. I lost 2 husbands, a niece that was really a daughter to me, and many, many animal souls and a lot of friends. So more than the ordinary loss, I would say, certainly. And the final catalyst was my niece, my daughter, Susan. When she passed 5 years ago, I thought, okay, something has to be done to heal myself, because I was so despondent and down that I started to really look at life in a different way. So that led that whole building of my platform, and I called it a community of souls, of people that wanted to get themselves out of that despair and move into life again. And that then led, I videotaped people that I knew that they had gone through hardship, and I wanted to interview them to tell their stories, because I always learned more from people's stories than books or from workshops. And so I was really connected with the human journey and what that really meant. So I did. I hired a videographer, and I did it in my home, and I had 11 other people besides my own story. And I just asked them basically 3 things. What happened to you? How did you deal with it at the time? And how is your life different as a result of going through this? And the stories, I'll start crying. They moved me to such a level that I was just blown away. And part of what I had learned along my spiritual journey of helping to heal myself was something called art expression. I was working and taking a course at UC California, San Marcos, from a woman that was actually teaching art expression. And then as part of the curriculum, we worked with hospice people. And it was using art as a modality to go into the unconscious and really tap into those stored memories for healing. And I then, the people that I taped, I took them through a similar process. So the book then became a result of, here I had these beautiful interviews and I had their artwork, and I thought the most natural extension of that would be to create a book. Kind of a long-winded answer to your question.
Yeah, but you and I had a discussion the other day. So you have someone who lost a spouse to cancer in your book, I believe. You lost a lot of people along the way. There was another woman who lost a relationship. And, I think in terms of that, and you have a lot of other stories as well, but I think in terms of that, people don't typically think about the losses they have in life as necessarily that they're grieving those things. So it's not just, oh, someone died in my life. Talk about that a little bit, because you and I had a whole discussion on all these things that people have lost over the last couple of years.
Well, coming out of COVID,
Right.
Start there. We're in a low level of depression overall, re-entering the world, in my opinion, because the next COVID is coming out, or the next, and everyone's kind of like, oh my gosh, do we go back to that? So that's there. That's just one level of how do I regain my freedom and really feel safe in this world. some of the other stories and the other people that I talked to. One woman was living in Saudi Arabia. She's American. Her husband was from that area. They got married here. And she went over there and had a child. And eventually, and she had a whole career. She was held as a prisoner, literally in her own house. And it changed completely. He changed 160, 180 degrees from where he was when they married. She escaped literally with her child when her daughter became 18. And that was another story. There's another story of cancer, of, a gentleman being labeled as, you've got stage 4, you better get your things in order. He said, what? And how he's completely healed now and totally free of cancer. And another one who lost everything through bankruptcy and a divorce, and her daughter had suicide all within a year's time. I mean, these are all kinds of stories, from breaking up, a divorce, starting anew after, how do I do that? And especially, say, for a woman 50 plus, how do I re-enter life now as a solo person? It ranges. Our sense of loss is just a huge area and very, very different in many, many ways. So the story or the healing is really the same. It's no matter what the event is, it's how we deal with it to clear it so that we can live a life of freedom and wholeness, because that's what it's all about.
Mm-hmm. And not getting stuck in it. And I think there's so much in today's society, so many people who lost jobs because of COVID. I know even between states right now, there's compassion or lack of compassion. I know where I'm at, people in Utah are like, what are these Californians whining about? We've been open for 2 years, but you guys have had a little bit different paradigm of, the disease there. I think you guys, I don't know if this day, I think you're still masking, or you may have just taken off your masks, but
Right.
we've been mask free for quite a while. And so, even from area to area right now, the amount of loss varies a little bit in all of that.
So you're right, Juliet, it's not about just death. It's not just about disease, because that happens in some ways to all of us throughout our lives, hopefully not as traumatic, or, as I said, separation, or even, sometimes changing careers. It is, how do I do that? Or how do I go from an unhappy place to something that fulfills me? And if it's a job change, especially later in life, that can be very terrifying. So, finding hidden courage is something that I had to find first within myself, frankly, because it was like, oh, woe is me. Why is this happening to me? And then why not? It's called life. It's like life. I always have a feeling that life deals both ups and downs, and it is just called life. The fabric of life has many textures. And for me, it was learning how to deal with those things that happened so it didn't take me down and destroy my spirit, because that is the essence of who we all are, to live in this beautiful world as fully and as present as we can. And to me, that's what my journey, and the journey that I hope I can help others with, is all about. How do you access that courage inside of you when you don't think you have it? Because we all do.
Yeah. And a lot of it is the courage to let go of something, because I know with my own, that's what I experienced, is I have to be able to let go of this. And it's really hard, but the more and more I let go, the more abundance I get too, I find, with the, okay, whatever's going to happen here, and I can't control it. So I have to move on and make something good out of it.
Well, you just said something very powerful: control and surrender. And those are two key components that really work to hold us back and to limit us. So control is an illusion, because truly we have very little control in our lives. We have free will, but to see and discern the difference of what we can control and what we don't have control of is a really powerful thing. And then being able to say, okay, I trust myself, therefore I surrender to that knowledge, call it the spirituality that resides in all of us. Whatever your belief system is, it's something bigger than you are. And that to me is the surrender part of just letting go. Once I've done the footwork, then my job is done for that moment. And that is where the surrender comes in.
Yeah. But I think the thing with surrender is once you do it and you see results, it kind of becomes an addiction with it. Because it's like, wait a minute. This is what I used to experience is I would say, okay, whatever, I'm just done. And then I would go on, and a month or so later, like that thing that I wanted to happen would happen because I just let others do whatever they were going to do, and they'd come back. That was with my divorce. They'd come back and say, I think we should try it your way. We did it our way. It didn't work. Instead of saying, you have to do it my way, and my way makes sense. And I think once you started to see those results or whatever's going to happen around it, things weren't as bad as you thought they were. They always turned out better. So I think that was my lesson about surrender, but it's hard.
Well, it is hard, especially for strong people. It's hard for everyone, no matter what your personality type is. And you're bang on as far as once you do it and you feel it and sense it and can see the result of that letting go, that's where the freedom comes in, and also belief in yourself, where you say, okay, I can navigate my life. I say with the help of somebody else, an energy that I call spirit. And again, to me, that's the foundation of why we're here. And all I have to do is to go out in nature and see that there's something out there that's much more powerful than I am. And if I'm doing my own, as I say, footwork, then I can release this knowing that, I'm doing my part in this. And once my part is done, I just have to let it go.
Yeah, exactly. And nature is really powerful in that sense. I think I've done some of my best thinking when I'm out in the middle of nowhere, just me and the moose.
Yes. I mean, I love that. I have animals. I always have had dogs or cats and both. But it's funny. Sometimes they're great teachers for being in the moment, not in the past. They don't worry about the dog at the end of the block having a bigger bone than they do. They don't worry about the future. They are just right in the moment. And to me, that's mindfulness, and that's where the highest level of appreciating life and also engaging with yourself and nature. Walk out the door, listen to the birds, hear the wind. That centers me and grounds me in a beautiful, unique way. That and animals.
Yeah, the animals definitely do. I remember the day on the trail that I actually ran into a moose. And, here we have moose, we have bears, we have all sorts of stuff. And, you look at those things online, like what happens when I encounter that? And I've always wondered, and I had been wondering maybe a half hour before, like, what happened if I ran into a mountain lion? What happened if I ran into a moose? Would I remember what to do? Would I get big when I'm supposed to get in front of a tree? And I got in front of the tree and the moose was looking at me. And I think the moose was more scared of me than I was of it. Mm-hmm. And that was surprising. I mean, when you see this huge animal in front of you, like, oh my God, you could kill me in a second.
Right.
But yeah, that's one of those things too. You get so much clarity when you're out there about what life really looks like. Like, oh, there's a moose in front of me. Maybe my problems aren't that big.
I remember when I went to Africa, it was such a beautiful trip. And when we were in a small Jeep, an open Jeep, and there were only 4 of us, and about 10 foot away, this huge male lion was there. And I thought, oh, we're going to be dead in a couple of seconds. And then I realized if you stay in the Jeep, they see it as a unit. And I made eye contact with this magnificent animal. And just like you with the moose, there was a connection. And you may not have felt it at the time because you thought, oh my God, am I going to be eaten? Am I going to be stomped? What's going to happen? But there was a connection because we're connected to everything around us, animals, nature. We're not separate beings. And I think that's what we're feeling now, hopefully more than ever, especially what's going on in Europe, that we need to band together, that we need more consensus and love as opposed to tanks and guns. That's another sidebar conversation, but
yeah, I think we definitely do. And there's evil everywhere. So,
yeah,
it's hard with all that evil to stay really connected and see the best in people too. I think right now it is a little bit.
if there's a disconnect, and I think that's why more than ever, we, particularly as women, because I believe that we're like the light bearers we're the nurturers. Biologically, our DNA is just so set up for that we are the consensus builders. We are the people that need to band together, to come together, to say, let's heal. Not only, first of all, you have to heal yourself before you can heal anybody else. And that's something that before we start marching, and I've done a lot of marching in my life for different things, I want to make sure that I heal myself. And I remember there was a story about Sister Teresa when they asked her to march for the war in Vietnam against it. And she said, no, I won't march against it, but I will march for peace. And I think that illustrates exactly what I'm speaking of. I think women in our world today, more than ever, are becoming stronger and stronger in bringing love as well as strength. True strength resides in love, not in fear. And I think that that's where I'm very interested in working, not only with myself, but with others, to bring that strength. And that's from finding our courage, isn't it? I mean, we're talking about the same thing.
It is. And from that standpoint of just working with people and healing, a lot of people don't realize that healers get healing for themselves from working with others on that healing. I remember, and you guys don't laugh, I remember a foot zoner hired me, and I work with a lot of healers, and I mentioned it at the kitchen table, and one of my kids was like, Mom, why do you need so much healing? Like, what's wrong with you? And I was, and I had to explain, wait a minute, I'm helping them, but the reality is that I seem to get the right healers at the right time working with me too, where I get something very valuable out of it as well. So you have to always remember that when you're coming from a place of love like that, there are gifts that are going to come from those other people that you're helping as well.
Absolutely. And I think any healer or anyone that is devoted therapeutically or even spiritually to helping people has to realize that they're a vehicle. It is not the ego that is doing it, but rather you're aligned internally to know that, okay, I've got these parts of myself. I've got my ego that you want and you need, but within a certain dimension, you don't want it to lead the way, because then that's not being authentic. And you want your heart to come through, and you have a thing called the soul. To me, an alignment of all these three compartments within us is what creates wholeness. And that's when I know, when I'm aligned to say, okay, I can tell when my ego is leading the way almost right away. I absolutely do. And it's so interesting that as you start practicing it more and having that consciousness, you start working on being more integrated. And you're right, I'm a vehicle. I am not the person that heals anybody.
Right.
But hopefully I'm a channel to help people through what I've learned. And that's what, to me, it's all about.
Yeah, exactly. So we can find your book if they go to www.hiddenbook. Or is it hiddenbook.com?
No, Finding Hidden Courage.
Finding Hidden Courage.
Finding my website is www.findinghiddencourage.com. It is on Amazon, both the hard copy, the soft copy, and of course the Kindle. I would recommend, because it's compiled with artwork as well as the people's story, Kindle doesn't do as great of a job as a soft or a hardcover. And it is also on other e-tailers like Britanno's, and I can't remember some others, but on my website. So yes, please, I hope that you take a look at, I hope that you want to look at the book and hear other stories, 11 really courageous souls besides my own story, and how they depicted their journey through their art expression, which was another part of their deep healing. And I owe a tribute to them for stepping up and sharing their stories, because they're very personal and they're very deep. So thank you for asking about the book.
Yeah, you're welcome. And you guys, we had made it easy when she published. You can get to it on Amazon by going to hiddencouragebook.com, and it'll take you right there, because Jamieson, probably everybody spells that and done wrong. So we made it really easy. So hiddencouragebook.com. You can go and get right
in
to
fact,
it.
I looked it up myself. It's Finding Hidden Courage, period. You don't even need book, but yes, it's so easy to find. So I love it. And thank you, Juliet, for supporting this platform and the story, because we need to get this out. And it's not about me. It's about helping to raise that vibration and that light for all of us.
It is. Now, also, I want to mention a couple other things here. You are donating part of the proceeds to a foundation. I'm going to talk a little bit about that.
Yes, yes. Susan, again, is the catalyst, actually, and the primary motivator for doing this book and even the platform, was a physician, an internist at Johns Hopkins. And she succumbed to cancer 5 years ago after a valiant fight of endometrial cancer. And she has created a foundation for survivors of below the belt cancers. So I am absolutely so happy. Any proceeds from the book, as well as from courses, a percentage of that will go to her foundation. So it is something that I truly believe in and support, because these women have gone through so much. And again, this is another way for us to support our fellow ladies and friends, and and no matter where they are. So please consider that as part of your decision.
Yeah. Now, on to next steps for you. You have done these art courses in hospice in a lot of different places, and you're going to be expanding that more to the general public in the future.
Yes. What I'm going to be offering, what I do offer on my website right now, are one-to-one consultations. And I think that's a good part. If someone is in need of more in-depth work, that's one way of working with me. I will be putting some other courses on the website, which I'm in the process of working on now, as well as the art expression, to be able to do that online, because not everyone lives in San Diego, which is where I live. So yes, there will be several different types of programs available, but right now, definitely consultations with me, and that's something that is available.
Okay. And if we want to get a hold of you to like get on a waiting list or do something with that, where do we go?
Again, my website, findinghiddencourage.com. So yeah, findinghiddencourage.com is the best way to contact with me, and we can have a discovery call to find out if this is something that we work well together, or I can help you with.
Well, thank you, Liz. We appreciate having you here
Juliet.
today. And you guys go over and grab that book. It is beautiful. It's full color. It has all the artwork in it, and it's really amazing.
Thank you.